or a conversation, and sometimes it tends to be on a way much lower level that you would like to accept and listen and to hear and to absorb. And then you have a great dilemma. Are you still continue there and keep listening and more listening?
Yeah.
Or you just run away and just forget about all that? And that's sometimes you have to make tough decisions. Sorry to say so, but that's, you know what? I'm at the age and time in my life where I can say anything what I want without without sort of being afraid to offend somebody, to, oh, these people don't offend, oh, those people don't offend. I don't care. I'm going to say exactly what I feel and what I want to say. So, my friends,
So, so I was going to ask, I was going to say, here we are, four of us talking, okay, and who was listening? Sasha was listening the whole time.
Oh, he always does. He's
He wasn't saying a word.
He's always down, and all you see is his eyes sometimes. That's what he's doing. He's so listening. I'm like, Sasha, look your head up.
I'll tell you what I'm doing. First of all, I'm checking my email, and I've just got fantastic. No, I've got fantastic. I ended my trade today. That I did. But at the same time, I was, it doesn't take a lot of my attention, really, because when you did it so many times, you did it like automation. And maybe I'll share my trading technique with people here on IBN TV.
Can we do that? I would love that. I would.
Yeah, I feel that 99% of the people they don't really understand what it's all about. They just they've heard something from somebody and they don't understand what the hell they heard and from whom they heard. And if they will, the best way for them is, in fact, ignore the stock market altogether. Don't even touch. Get your money, go to Las Vegas, and have some fun. Yeah.
There we go. When you start a startup, what do? Get your money and go to Vegas. When you got money,
that's the best way you can do it. Yeah, I want to tell you something. You have a great odds in Las Vegas. The more I think about it, the faster I will get on the plane and will go just right there.
I'll meet you. As soon as they lift everything, I practically, I felt like, I told Nick, I felt like I lived in Vegas. I never liked it, to be honest with you. I hated going, but the business was always there. We were always doing TV shows there. So we were always going to Vegas, but after a while, even though you don't like it, you find things that you do like, right? Especially if you travel someplace the same over and over. Mm-hmm. If anything, you get to know the same people, right? That you bump into. But I love Vegas. I want to address something though that Ankit.
You know what I was there for?
I was
there for a conference for 5 days. And I hardly had a chance to go out.
Oh, no. Why?
So it was the IBM Think conference. I was speaking there in 2018. And it was 3-4 days full jam-packed, a lot of sessions, etc. And after like heavy days, coming back, crashing into bed. Yeah, so I think only the last day I got some opportunity to have some fun there, like with casinos.
That's what I tell people when I go there. I work. I never have fun. I work from 6 in the morning until 10 at night, and then sometimes you have to go network. And then you go to bed and you get up the next day and you do the same thing.
Yeah.
You don't want to, people think, wow, you got to go to Vegas. It sucks. But I want to talk to Ankit real quick about this patient word he used, because I brought that up with him because I always thought that was important. And I brought it up to one of the billionaires on our show, which you got to see. And I brought this up to him about, well, don't you think in patient, because I read his book, right? And I read a lot of other things he had done. So I thought, boy, I got this, because I think he believes in patience. And so I brought it up and he goes, oh, no, I don't believe in patience.
I think
might put you into trouble.
I think Ankit, if Ankit truly is a June 7th baby, he doesn't have patience either, because I don't have patience and I'm a June 7th baby. So there you go.
What
But
about
let,
July
let me tell
7?
you, I have a
So
different
he has
bot.
a lot.
What's that?
But let me
What
tell you, I
about
have a different bot from yours. I mean, you are from a US bot, I am from an India bot. So we have
Oh,
different.
We got
so
two different
okay.
bots going here.
We're
and
different
what about
instincts.
July
Yeah.
7? What about July 7?
Okay,
July
something is
7th.
definitely common there. We can understand. Number 7.
July 7th. That's a good day. That's right
July
up
7.
here.
How can you answer that? If you weren't born on July 7th, and obviously Ketul was born on July 7th, that's why he asked the question, right?
July 7th is a good day. It's
I,
after
I love that, like, 2 7s, especially like, when you go to Vegas, the 2 7s are pretty
7,
That's 7-7,
7
right?
7.
Yeah,
So,
there you go.
7,
and
7.
and I like, I would extend on that topic, like on the Vegas part, right? Whenever I go, I take out some time, right, for pokers and roulettes,
I love it.
So
What about you?
I don't sleep in Vegas.
And mini Sasha here.
But,
Yeah, you
but,
don't sleep in Vegas. You know why? You know why you can't sleep in Vegas? I learned about this. It's all the neon lights. They're designed to stimulate your eyes. So and it's everywhere, right? And it's all moving. Like everything moves fast. And I don't know if you noticed, but there's a lot of this going on. That's all stimulant. I had no idea because every time I would go, I would be up like this. And I go, wow, why am I not like this at home? And it's because when I get home I crash, right? But it's stimulants. So that's
Yep.
why you are.
And also,
Interesting.
don't forget there are no
Interesting.
windows. There are no windows as well.
Yeah, there's no windows. It's all those fake lights. It's all those fake lights. Yep.
That's why there are a lot of factors, that affect
It is.
Vegas.
They know what they're doing. They know
Ketul,
exactly what they're doing. So
And
Ketul,
they are
also catching up.
open now. They're open now.
Yeah, they are.
opened. Yeah, they opened 2 weeks. About 2 weeks ago. They opened. Yeah.
Yep.
They're
And
only allowing what is it, 30%? Or is it 50? They're only allowing 30 to 50% into the casinos. So, and they're providing free airfare for people to come. So right now, if you want to go to Vegas, a lot of the casinos are providing free airfare. Of course, you pay casino prices when you get there, right? But just to get the people to come. So that's,
yeah, and airfares are pretty cheap now. I saw like, $140 round trip ticket from, Baltimore to LA, or so
it's still well, right now they're just trying to generate business, but from the airlines, from what I last looked, they're only allowing one person per row to sit.
yeah.
So
I think the middle seats are not usable.
right. Which is, I always bought the whole row anyway instead of sitting in first class. I'm just kidding.
You can.
I know. I used to do that a long time ago. I would book my seat so that I had the whole row to myself, and because it was better than having first class seat, right? You could stretch out and put your laptop on here. But it got harder to do as the flights got fuller, right? And they would cut flights, and so I got a lot more difficult to do. But it's
In March, when I came back from Atlanta, I felt like I booked the entire plane because I was the only one there.
Wow.
Because it was crazy, and the airport was. I had all the videos. I felt like, oh my god, I'm gonna show our kids when they grow up that look at this. This was the situation that we had.
That's crazy. That's
When was that?
insane.
When
was
was it?
March,
Oh,
right?
In March,
March.
when all this like COVID started right after that.
Yeah.
And they were shutting down. Alexandra had to cancel her flight. She was in South Africa getting ready to come to Nashville. I was booking to go visit her. And so, a lot of things happened. A lot of flights got canceled. I was on my way. I was actually on my way to Houston for the world's largest. It's the most powerful people in the world for power, gas, and energy. They get together once a year, and they canceled it. So, I mean, it was weird. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm better off staying home and not going anywhere. So I was just canceling. I spent a lot of time canceling trips. trips and some trips wouldn't let you cancel. Right? They would not refund your money or anything. But I bet that was weird flying at that time. But that was very weird.
I think
So,
now majority airlines are pretty flexible. They are like pretty helpful, right? You can, they give you credit. You can book. I'm talking about like domestic. I'm not sure about the international flights, but domestics are pretty.
Not in India. Not in India.
Not in, yeah, of course.
and we just heard about a new train system being put in place while COVID was down. Virgin Orbit put in a rail system from Vegas to LA. And we just heard about that today. One of the girls on our show mentioned it, that all of this was going on. And then what's his name? Tesla guy, I think it is, put in an underground.
Elon Musk.
Not much.
Elon Musk. Yeah, he put in an underground system. So an underground rail system. So everybody's installing all of these. Aarsh, thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thanks, everyone.
As always,
Yes.
let's get a bot. I want a bot.
Yeah,
I want
a bot with graphic bot. You're on it.
I want a bot. I want a bot that goes out and negotiates for me. A startup bot. That's what we'll get. A startup bot. Aarsh is going to get rid of this woman. she comes up with crazy ideas.
Okay, thanks, everyone.
I'm going to make humans. I'm going to turn bots into humans. They're cool. The more you play with them, the cooler they get. So anyway, Ketul, do you have a bot? Do you have a chat bot?
No, meaning I don't right now, but I used to work on that in the past. So that's why I want to see the demo. I think I saw the note.
Yeah, you saw the demo. I just think they're cool. Ketul has works for a payment company.
Fintech.
The electronic payments, which to me is taking over the world, right? Everybody's making payments online.
Yeah.
So
and especially like now, all the restaurants are opening. We talk about the hotel businesses and we talk about airlines, but now the restaurants are opening. And what's your experience? Like how you guys are comfortable going, to the restaurants and especially dine-in experience?
Nope, not me. I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna wait and see what the impact is before I go out. I had to go to court Monday, and I was scared to death. And that was the first time I drove through town since March 4th. And the whole town, well, because of our riots, the whole town is boarded up anyway. So, but you bring up something. There was PayPal was hosting I think it was PayPal was hosting a hackathon when I was in Vegas one year at another convention, and these kids came up with this payment app, electronic payment app. That's what they were trying to do, was come up with, and it was an electronic payment app where you could do dash and dine basically, right? You walk in, you that this is what your order is when you sit down, and you pay, and from your app you just get up and leave. You don't have to give your credit card. You don't have to. And I thought that was cool. I've never seen it after the conference. I would like to see that kind of app.
Actually, it's very like, now it is available, like, in majority like big restaurants now, especially like all this new trend, like new normal situation, and especially the customer like you, Kimberly, like you said, no, I'm not comfortable going to restaurants. So they are basically attracting those people and make sure that, they come and all like, all their safety measures and all those things, all the restaurants, they want to be in the business now. And
well, they do. And our buddy who works with us here at IBM.TV, he is doing a show called Out and About. And actually, when Fan came up with the idea, just as COVID hit, we were going to start going out and about to the restaurants like you're talking about, and the vids, and we do this quick TV show, almost like a TikTok. Here I'm out here, da da da, and then air it. And so we never got that launched. And then Zach said, you know what, I drive a lot through town, part of my business. I'm going to go out and start engaging businesses, talking to the people. Is that okay? And I'm like, heck yeah. Just be careful when he does. He wears his mask and everything. And so that's what he's doing is he's going out and about and talking, like you were saying, talking to the businesses, encouraging people. This is who's open, right? Is that what
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. But on the other side, like a lot of people have like all these questions, right? That how the new normal is gonna be, in the restaurants. What am I gonna do there? How am I gonna experience the food and facility and all those? So that's why I just want to use this platform, to put down some information and some ideas that I never shared in the past with anyone, but probably on your channel, I can share that. So the whole point is like in the restaurants now that you normally you go with your friends, right? And obviously you're gonna maintain the social distancing and the face mask and hand sanitizers and alcohol wipes and everything. Even
Oh,
paper menus available, that use and throw kind of thing,
we
But
have this little checklist, right? Because
yeah,
I joke with Nick right now because in the beginning everybody was talking about, oh, there's vaccines are coming. And I'm like, I'm not going to have a vaccine because it's too soon. There's no way you could have tested it, and so we have to do these things. But there's the vaccine and I'm like, this isn't coming, Nick. The vaccine's not coming. We got to do the smart things, do the checkoff list, wear a mask.
yeah,
Nick and I, when we went to court, which was quite an experience, to be in court during all of this, there was no clerk of court there. There was no reporter. There was no bailiff, no police officer, no police officer. They had the benches roped off, so only you could sit in two benches. It's a huge courtroom, huge
yeah.
courtroom. And the judge came in with a mask. I thought, God, I'm not going to be able to hear him. But you could, he spoke, he's very articulate. So there was no problems understanding him. But some people, when they're talking in a mask, you can't hear them. But Nick wore his N95. He wore his N95. I wore my mask, and we got the job done. But one of the things I was trying to understand is a lot of people aren't showing up to court. But how do we collect our money, right? How are payments made? Even though this isn't your area of payment. But then my brain starts going to that route. And then when we were driving through town, usually whenever Nick and I finish something in town like that, we would always go eat at our favorite restaurant. We have a favorite restaurant down there. And it's not open, right? Because they only allow, takeout. They only allow takeout or you sit outside, down outside. And there's not enough room on the sidewalks down there to put. Now they have outdoor dining upstairs, but you have to go through the restaurant and to the upstairs.
So now you will see that, like because most of the restaurants are planning to reopen or it's already open, and you see all this like safety measures that they will take on their part. But regarding the payments, like what, like everyone wanted to have like a very minimum interactions between the servers and the customers,
exactly.
to take basically like go with touchless payment, like everything should be like I don't want to touch anywhere, like sit there, eat, and
because you still have to pay like this, right? And even if I put it in that machine, how many other people grab their card, put it in that same machine in your hand? Your card is now touched their card that went into that machine, right? So now you got to have a sanitary. So people think I'm crazy. So when they touch your card and they put it in the machine, and then I put my card in that machine, I pick up all their junk. So, but also if they touch the machine and I accidentally touch it, if you have to key in the numbers, even though they got the plastic on there, everybody touched the plastic. So now I got to get my wipe out. I got to wipe my card down. Got to wipe my hands down. So yeah,
so what if I give you the use case, like that what the industry should do, or if they are already doing it, that would be like more advanced way to do that. is like, let's say you go out, we all go out to the restaurants for dinner, right? We went to the favorite restaurants, and now we are sitting on the booth like 6 feet, distance with each other, and we are talking, and the now here is the first piece of information is more important, like the menu. How do I get the access of the menu? Like,
Yeah.
what the servers do, right? So now majority restaurants are printing out like paper menu, like use and throw. But I wanted to save those, expense or the paper menu, or trash, right? Or the recycle stuff. So how am I going to achieve that part? So I'll explain that later, once I'll go through the flow. So let's say you get the menu, you order your favorite dish, uh, and then you remove your mask and enjoy your meal. Now you're done with your meal, you put the mask back, sanitize your hand, everything is done. Now the payment part comes. How are you gonna
Yeah.
make the payment? So what if the nice looking device, like the point of sale system, come to your table, sitting on the table? All you have to do is like, the contactless payments like Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay. These are all like very famous. Or as I mentioned on my last call, like QR code payments,
I
basically
Yeah.
like it.
from your phone. So all you have to do is like take out your card, right? Uh, Tap on the machine, or like on that like touchless kind of thing, like contactless, and then make the payment, or open your phone, scan the QR, and make the payments, right?
That's right. I like it.
Pay at the table solution is now going to take over the entire restaurants business, because nobody is comfortable like giving out the card, go to
Yeah.
the back
Yeah.
of the restaurants, and do the entire transactions, and then bring the check, you have to sign. Nobody wanted to do any of this,
I
especially.
wish Nick was here. He could help me remember who those little boys were. That it was young college boys that made the app for the Dash and Dine, which I thought,
Yeah,
or Dine and Dash. I thought that was brilliant. You know,
I did that hackathon too in
there's
Yeah.
no
previous company.
Nick. I just wish you were here. You're like the genie in the bottle. I wish Nick
Poof.
was here. Boom.
Poof. I re-arrived.
So
And like,
you remember the Dine and the Dash app guys that we met at Money 2020? Remember that app? Those young boys, we
Yeah.
interviewed all of them.
Right.
And you remember that app? And it was so that you could go into a restaurant. You didn't have to
Oh
pay.
yeah. Right.
You
Oh,
didn't-
yeah. It was. Yeah. You could. Yeah. I thought that was wave of the future. What about it?
It didn't go anywhere for them. We thought it was going, but then we have Google and PayPal and whatever,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Apple
It's a
Pay,
fintech concept.
But
Right.
again, I like the idea of having maybe a QR code or something. I scan when I get there, but I don't have to do anything. I'm done. I like
Eventually, it'll take place. I mean,
Yep.
and I'm not sure if the Google and PayPal are going to dominate that market space.
or
By the
Apple.
way, or
yeah,
Apple or Amazon, but it's a real big problem right now with these major companies, and there's one word to describe it legally: antitrust.
yeah,
And watch what's going to happen in the next year or so, depending on where the election goes in the United States. They're going to be faced with huge antitrust lawsuits because of their market dominance and
Really?
in
Wow.
multiple sectors. Well, it's even like television. Apple, we've gone over this. Apple TV, okay, owned by Apple. YouTube TV, owned by Google, right? I'm missing something. Amazon Prime, owned by Amazon. What the heck?
Instagram TV, owned
Which
by
one?
Facebook. Instagram TV owned by Facebook.
Really,
Yeah,
they have Instagram TV
TV
owned by
owned by
Facebook. Okay,
Facebook.
what the heck are technology companies doing owning the media? Okay, I mean that, or the new media. I guess we could call it the new media, and without having to be faced a consolidation and a serious challenge on antitrust. Now, this administration can do jack, so they're okay. The next administration may look at this a little differently and say, you have too much concentration of economic power in too many places. Theoretically, antitrust is you have a lot of economic power in one place, but if you look at it even in one place, what search engine do we have? Google. What about the other ones? They're hanging on like that. What about social media? Facebook. We talk. Hopefully, we'll start coming up. But I will tell you that there's a serious problem with everybody on Facebook, and there's no other source of media out there. A serious problem relating to potential future antitrust cases, because there's no one other competitor in these market spaces. And so what they do, they jump in, and now all of a sudden they're in media. So I think we're going to see some now it's not going to happen with this administration, but the next administration and the next attorney general may see this differently. That's one reason in a fair economy, which we're not in, Ketul, fair economy, an independent corporation would dominate the space, or at least have a lot of space in terms of making payments as people enter and exit a restaurant or enter and exit any place.
Yep.
But in a concentration of wealth economy, which is what we have right now, the majors will go, hey, we'll either buy it, we'll develop it, or we'll squeeze you out. Yeah. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. No, I completely agree.
Am I missing something, Counselor?
And Nick, to add on that, I'll tell you, apart from owning the media channels, apart from owning the media, they're also buying a lot of telecom companies around the world. They're also payment gateway, because payments, and media, they have all those industries.
And media, and which Alexander knows very well from Russia, media controls what you listen to and then controls what you think. Hermann Göring was great at that. What was he, the German dude who controlled the media? And then in Moscow, they had Pravda, the Truth. And here we have, and you can watch it even what's happening in the United States. All the media is about, who's this guy, Floyd. Okay.
Yeah.
There was, I believe, 35 people were killed in Chicago and during the riots. Totally ignored. 85 people were shot Sunday evening, totally ignored. Why? Because the media needs that one thread. They will not move to another conversation at all. They're going to bleed that one conversation. But what it does, it controls what we think and how we operate and what we do. It's a very powerful.
Completely agree, Nick. And that's why I always blame media for what content like they should show and what. Like mainly, like if you turn on the TV, like you see like all those the news stuff, which is like not educating or educational anything for the improvement of the community, but they all about like basically like going against like educational points, and what they feel that want to show this to you. And basically put everything into your brain. That is the only content that we are showing.
But you're exactly correct. Yeah. In other words, the thing is, remember, you are what you see, do, experience, and hear, and the things you hear from different sources. But like, what was it that there was something today about what CBS was doing through Viacom, and they controlled Viacom, and CBS controls that, and they're all interrelated. As a matter of fact, I think the media right now, it's like 5 major media channels control all the information that you're seeing. Yeah. Okay, which is kind of interesting, and we know that WeTalk, that's trying to compete with Facebook, it has a hard pull trying to get up. In other words, how can they get up to second place? And then Facebook, a friend of mine found out he got blocked. I've been blocked. They're right now controlling if you got blocked. If you don't pull the party line on Facebook, they block you with bots automatically. There's no judge, jury, execution. They just execute you, and legally they may actually have the right to do it because it's a private web service.
And I can't say this word. Everybody knows if I say a certain word, they knock me off air. Like literally, people see me knocked off air. They've seen me every time I say this word.
Yeah. See now, Alexander Starr, who grew up
in a very serious problem all over the world. Anywhere.
I agree.
China, mainland China. I'm not even sure if we're actually even broadcasting, because we may be blocked. Because I think we what do they call it? We subcontract through YouTube, and they block YouTube or something weird like that.
One of the things I'm excited about, though, is we are bringing on board some interns, and one of the interns is going to be able to promote for us in China and get our TV show.
We're gonna see. We're gonna see. Okay.
Well, hopefully she won't get banned, but
Yeah. Hopefully. Let's see.
Ketul,
Alexander Starr, who's from Moscow, is used to that. In other words, he grew up in Russia. They had Prada, The Truth. They got fed the same line, but unfortunately, he was one of these crazy independent chess player thinkers. So he bolts and goes to Canada. And I remember there were a lot of them that were bolting because I ran with Bermuda International. And I asked, I think it was Sergey Kudrin or one of them, I said, well, why'd you leave Russia? He goes, what's the difference between living in heaven or living in hell? He really didn't like living in Russia. I was kind of like, excuse me, the old Soviet Union. Okay, but see, they're kind of used to that state-controlled media stuff. We're not used to it, or some of us don't even know it's going on, and it's not the state doing it. It's private industry.
You hit it right when you
private
said
industry
that,
is controlling your thoughts. Did you know?
So you have diversified media channels in the United States, but get worse. The last cruise ship that I did ride because coronavirus in Latin America, there was only one new channel on Celebrity Cruise, which is part of Royal Caribbean. There was a Fox News channel, nothing else. And then coronavirus already hit big in China and Europe or so on. On Fox TV, on say probably February 28th, they were saying that everything is under control, everything is wonderful, and the United States is doing a great job, and there's nothing to worry about it. And Donald Trump said this about the same thing. And at the same time, so I was watching that news channel right before the dinner. So we stopped for dinner, met our friends who happened to be from Israel, and we started to discuss what's news about coronavirus. And they said it's a horrible thing. It's spreading. There are a lot of cases where people just die. And in fact, in Italy there is a great threat that flights from Israel, from Rome to Israel, they're no longer being accepted. So you have to actually going to quarantine. I said, wait a moment, I just heard to Fox News. They denied that anything happens. Absolutely nothing. Everything is under control. So they looked at each other and told me, Sasha, could you please take your Fox News and put it where. Okay?
So what again? It's all like.
How do you like this? Coronavirus cure finally found the national requirement by millions of people in the United States, and here it is. The death toll, worldwide deaths, 3,000, American deaths 11 and counting. Okay,
the corona vaccine virus is right here, right? And they made it in chickens, right? They have been manipulating the coronavirus in chickens for years to come up with a vaccine for chickens. Okay. And that was being done in China at the time that the coronavirus broke out.
Okay, you do know.
Had a food conference right there at the same time.
Gone with the Wind, which won the Oscars in 1939. It was pulled by HBO. It was politically incorrect now. Gone.
Yep.
Okay, so the thing is, it's very interesting to watch the media and what you're fed and what you're not fed, and what you watch and what you don't watch. But the stark reality is there are private companies that really control your thoughts.
So you'd rather have government control our thoughts?
No, I didn't say that. No. What I would like to have, Alexander, and this is what if you ever take a class in antitrust, is actually to have a whole group of different types of media and on a more egalitarian basis. In other words, where people actually have more different types of media to choose from. In other words, it's in a competitive environment, not controlled by the government, not controlled by private industry, rather than concentration. Because if you look at social media, the dominant player is Facebook. Name the number 2 player in social media right now.
None. Facebook number one, number two, and number three. And they have a certain design where they encouraged people to become aggressive and put all kind of annoying posts and so on. And whoever does that most, they reward them with some point system, something else. So people becoming very abusive, very aggressive, and that's what's been encouraged. Then whenever you do posts and reposts or so on, all that has been encouraged. But I want to tell you different examples. For example, about the same time, Google acquired YouTube and Microsoft acquired Skype. Now, through that, YouTube became a dominant um, well, how would say, entertainment communication platform, which is doing extremely well. There is no single day where I wouldn't go to YouTube either to listen music or to listen to or even if I want to try to listen to IBM TV, where would I go? To YouTube, of course. Now, Skype, it was a wonderful way to communicate a few years ago, and that was the only one that I knew at the time. And now it became, after acquisition by Microsoft, it's becoming more and more cumbersome, and they do all kinds of improvements all the time. And each time you want to get back to Skype, you have to register and re-register. And essentially, I have a feel that they just killed it for some reason. I don't know why. I still use it, Skype. I'm going to use it Saturday for a chess contest. But I'm going to tell you, I'm very, very unhappy with Skype.
But on top of this, like, what I would like to say is, like, why people are using YouTube and why people are using Google, because you can find any information on it. It's not like only certain information that you can find and not. Like, for example, if you want to fix your tire on your car, you can also find on YouTube as well as on Google. You can search, like, how to make you can find on Google, you can find on YouTube. But the certain players, like, for example, the same information is floating on Facebook, same information is floating on Instagram, same information is forwarding on WhatsApp, because everything is controlled by the same company. So and they are the one who want you to see this, not the other content. And same, I would like to link with my favorite topic is, like, the payments on exactly on this scenario, that there are a lot of old and big companies out there who has very old, like a dinosaur kind of, system. Is they are pushing really hard to the customers, and the customers or the merchants only able to see that particular system, what that system can do, what that system cannot do. Other than that, they don't have vision outside of how the other the payment options are available. So that is exactly the same thing, like, what the big players in the industries, what they want to see, what they want you to feel, that is exactly how we feel and how we see. And that's why, like, there are a lot of players, the new players out in the market, who gives, like, a lot of advanced solution, or who are capable of providing a lot of advanced solution. Probably, like, Nick, you missed that conversation about the restaurants that I was talking earlier before you joined, that, restaurants are opening, how the new normal is going to be, so a lot of, like, paper menus are available, and a lot of other things are available, right? Hand sanitizing, alcohol wipe, mask, the pay at the table device is also available, right? The entire point of sale system, bring to your table so you can pay at the end, instead of giving to the cashiers and or the servers, and then they go back and do the payments. But the other thing about the menus, as I was mentioning, like, paper menus are, like, now available in majority dine-in restaurants, right? And that is, like, increasing cost for dine-in, like, to print out those papers and, like, recycle it and increase the trash or recycle part. So how to avoid that as well? And that is what earlier I mentioned, that, this is a cool idea that, I'm sharing with IBM TV right now, that there is the other way to do avoid the paper menus, is, like, any customer walk in to your restaurants, as a dine-in, all you have to do is, meaning there's an idea behind it, like, you can open your phone and give the missed call to certain number. As soon as you give the missed call to that number, you know that you get the text message with the menu on your phone, and then open the menu and see what you want to see and order it from it, and then basically avoid the paper menus and the cost behind it. That is
Mhm.
the thing to do. About the payments, I mentioned that QR or the contactless payments. Yeah, Ankit.
Mhm.
And to I add on that, what we can do is if you give a missed call, there will be a voice call, and that person will explain the menu. That is also possible because that's happening in India. A lot
Yeah,
of
that is
if you
ways,
visit a
but
lot of places, you just have to give a missed call, and they will one of the recorded calls will call you on your number, and they will explain you what's going on, or maybe giving you the menu or offers or things like that. Yeah.
but
That is
there
also
is a little bit challenge as I see, because when I, let's say we all are going to the restaurants, right, for is to like eat and talk and discuss, right? And I don't want to be on the phone like listening the menu for like 5 minutes.
I understand. Yeah.
But I
No, so Ketul, I'm telling you that there are a lot of use cases based on the
oh
requirement.
yeah,
People can use it. Yeah. It's a use case basically, and I'll
exactly.
tell you, India is one of the biggest democracy. Everyone is aware about it, and whenever there's an election, before election 1 month, we are getting a lot of calls from different people talking to us that please vote for me and this and that and all those things, and that's a
Yeah,
10-minute conversation, and then they record it
yeah.
somehow.
I
So
want to tell you
And
something because
also to
it's
add
today
on.
is a startup day, right? So I'll tell you about someone I know about 20 years ago, maybe 19. He raised $2 million on a startup. So what his idea was that in a restaurant there would be a small railway that would go through all the tables where people are sitting. There will be a little train coming, and in that train would be a menu. Then the same train would deliver you a food that you ordered, and everything would be done. Then, of course, you pay by credit card or so on. So you don't have waiters, you don't have a menu because
Yep.
the menu will deliver it to you, and everything was wonderful. And he raised $2 million. So this restaurant ideas, they're quite fruitful, and there is a huge field of investors who would like to invest in food business improvements.
Yep. And there is also like one more requirement that comes from the health officials, now, especially to all the restaurants, that they have to keep track of all the customers that who eats
Yeah.
in restaurants, so because of like the COVID situation, they have to keep track everyone's, like if it's you know uh already faced the virus in the past, or if it's like walking again in the restaurants and where they eat and all that. So they wanted to keep track of that. So I think that way, like you get your customers information if they give you the missed call for the menu, right? And by that, like you get uh, the customer information based on phone number, and basically that number you can also use in the future for any promotional activities. So there are a lot of ways to do this. And especially like in right now, the situation is like all the restaurants, they want to attract the customers to come, sit in their restaurants and eat again after the whole situation, and not everyone is very comfortable with that. So there are a lot of other ways that the payments can help in the restaurants, and that's why I said, like um, we can help, like the way the any restaurant businesses, right? If it's a big chain or the medium or smaller chain of the restaurants, we can help them build the custom solutions the way they want, right? If you want, like, okay, text me the menu, we can do it. If you want, like the little device that keeps scrolling up and down and show the menu, we can do that way as well. Plus, taking the payment is also a lot of other ways, like QR payments or contactless, or basically the touchless is the new normal world that I see in the payment.
And Ketul, I think we can also call it an hygiene payment rather than a touchless payment, because if you talk about hygiene and clean payment, people
Yep.
would be ready to use those payments.
Exactly, yeah. So not only the hygiene precautions that we take care in the restaurants, but also the payment portion is also hygiene.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. Yeah,
Yeah, that
without
is
touching
actually.
anything, maintaining your hygiene, you can still pay an amount.
Yep, exactly. I think there are a lot of different use cases and a lot of technology out there, and that's why what we offer is like, let's discuss, sit on the table, right, and discuss about how you want your business to run, in terms of.
But there is one more thing we can do. If someone still wants to pay by card, you should have those card sanitized machine on the restaurants. So
Yeah, it's
once you give the
already available. I saw the Ingenico is a very big brand in US and all over the world, right? They have the devices which has the UV lights on top of it, right?
UV lights, okay.
Basically, sanitize your machine. So that is also other ways, to do. There are like so many ways, like so many options are available now. And the most important is like, everyone has to adopt all this if they want to survive in the business, because you know otherwise the customer will not come, or customers are pretty knowledgeable now, like how to, where to go and what to do. And I think the mobile payment will be the next big thing now in future. That is what I
Completely. And Ketul, I also wanted to know about Vegas. We were discussing about Vegas and casinos. So how a casino works in the payment structure? I mean, how they take the payments and what kind of payments? Things they are using in the casino. Do you have any
Yeah,
idea?
so normally what they do, like they have ATM machines, right? That
Yeah.
people take out the cash and then they pay. So a lot of like the paper bill is like very high useful now in casinos. So what they do, not like the solution is not in the market, but a couple of big casino groups are discussing about how we give like some kind of a device, like or some kind of like a bracelet,
Okay.
you can wear, and then you can tap, and that bracelet has money in it, so you can play to any machines if you want to, right? Or the roulette, like you can tap and then you get the like digital thing, like instead of having like your paper bill all over the place, or like in taking out, and so everything is then built on your the little uh gadget, which is like you can carry in casino. So it's obvious, it's like a lot of like it may be like an expensive thing to adopt, but it's going forward, like you have to reduce this paper bill in casino because it's not sanitized. You are carrying everywhere. So many people touch that bill in the past, and it's a new world now.
Most of them,
So
they want you to convert cash to chips, and then you play with chips. You don't really play with cash anymore. And the
like all the slot machines accept the cash, majority.
really, yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't
like
know
you
that.
have to insert the cash in it
Yeah,
first,
yeah.
and then
Well,
you can play with
I
it.
guess the problem is it's very expensive to convert. You know,
Yeah,
Exactly.
and
but
that's
chips are not safer than cash
Yeah,
anyway.
Yep.
that is what I asked. But yeah,
well,
chips also not.
Alexander, tell the people on Bitcoin about that. What do you think Bitcoin is? It's a poker chip. You
It's a
know,
poker chips, yeah.
and the
But
thing is, let's face it, if you have poker chips from Las Vegas, it's easily transportable from country to country without telling anybody, and that's called Bitcoin. It's
yep.
kind of a cool thing.
And I'll tell you something. In India, we have a lot of, kingdoms before Britishers arrive and things like that. So every kingdom has their own coins, and we call them as asarfis. And
Really?
these are they were the bitcoins at that point of time, and now they have just converted the name. And we still have a lot of asarfis and bitcoins from different parts in a museum. So
Oh, really?
Yep.
you can have a Bitcoin from north to south, east to west, and people were used to barter it based on the reputation and goodwill.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, but I think ultimately they're going to spend the time and the money to convert. It's just like Kettle was saying about the restaurant industry. Ultimately, it may take some time, but let's say you have a person who owns a restaurant. What is their downstroke, Kettle, to set up a payment system like what you're discussing? How much do they have to pay now to get that system set up?
So it, like, let's say, like if they have a big restaurants chain, right, that they wanted to establish like an entire new payment experience, right? So obviously we need some development, on that. So basically, like, it takes time, right? And the money for us, right? And then probably the solution will be available. So it's like initially, like, we are trying to help the restaurants businesses, right, in order to not providing like expensive system for them. But initially, like, the time and money should be there, right? Somebody has to spend that money in order to build the solution for them, the very customized. Now, like, let's say, like, they want like 100% custom solution for their restaurants, right? We already have like 60 or 70% out of that 100 is already available through, because we are keep innovating ourselves with the new payment
Hmm.
options. You already have 60 or 70% is already available. So only thing is, like, we have to develop like few 20% of the new edge cases, like as I mentioned, right, that the paper menu portion, right? Let's say if they want it, right, to avoid that paper menu and that, like, the missed call part, obviously there needs some development effort from our side, like to miss call and then throw the menu on their mobile phone. So little bit work needed, from that angle, and the money wise. But our goal is to, like, try to give them, like, more flexible options, so it won't be expensive for them or any restaurant businesses. uh, and also, like, there is a lot of my check solution that we have available. My check is one of the company that Shiji owns, and that is mainly on the e-com side, and that has a lot of advanced way of the payments available through e-com, and, like, the text messages, and they can design your website, and within like 4 weeks, you have your system ready, and it's not that expensive either. Like, it's less than like $100 a month to use that solution.
Hmm.
So there are a lot of reasonable options available as well in the market, but it depends on, like, how you want your restaurant business to have a new payment options, for that.
So,
So
Ketan, I have a question about payments basically. So, suppose I'm paying at your restaurant and you are offering some cashbacks or some credit notes. So, can I get the credit note back in the form of payments, or how that works? Because
can
a lot of restaurants give coupons, or maybe they give you cashback or they give you offers. But I want the credit back on my wallet or on my bank. How that works with CG?
so if I understand your question correctly, like, you want the cash back, or you want the offers?
I run a restaurant and you pay me $100, but every $100 if someone spent, I give them $10 back in a form of a coupon or in a form of any kind of offers or things like
Oh,
that.
okay.
Yeah, but now you want that money back in your account. So how that those transactions will work on your platform?
Yeah, so there is the point system is also available, right, within
Yeah,
my, like, so let's say, like, you spend $100, and you the restaurants wanted to give you like $10 coupon, for your next visit, right? So you already have your app. Like, for example, let's say there's a sandwich place here called Pot Belly, right? So they also have an app, and every time you spend through the app, you get some vouchers, that you can spend in the next time. So basically, the electronic money that's sitting in your app, so you can use it next time. So that is like, it's not like something new that do that, right? So
no,
we can
no,
also build, and Shiji has
I'm
that.
trying to understand that can we consolidate it all those things on CT platform, because I can't download hundreds of apps just for getting the vouchers and getting the offers.
Yeah, so that is the other thing. Like, I did that on hackathon in my previous company. That let's say there are like so many different merchants available, right? And everyone has their own app, right?
Yeah,
And everyone has their own reward in their system. How are we gonna consolidate everything in one app, right? So basically, let's say, like, we have an idea that, like, let's say Shiji solution is available all over the place, like in stadium, or like in hospitality industries or restaurants, right? Let's say if that system is processing the transaction through Shiji, right? So we can also, build an app which is like a Shiji app, will work anywhere. Like, you go wherever the Shiji solution available, and take the payments through that app, right? And then we keep track of everything. So basically, one app will work all the different channels, right? And basically you collect all points, which is from all the channels. But like for example, your Starbucks rewards, right? And if you want to move that Starbucks reward to my Shiji stuff, right? That is actually is not in the scope right now. It's hard to build that portion because you have to have a mutual partnership with the Starbucks in order to collect that points into that. So that is like not possible at this moment, but our target is like going forward that this is what we want in the future, like consolidate all the different, like for example airline industries, right? You have a Delta points, you have a Southwest points, you have this points, that points, right? How are you going to combine all the points in one account, right? So basically you have to have an integration with different the airline industries to collect that, and that's other thing, but you have to have your solution available all over the place in order to collect the points. So our main goal right now is like to step into the different merchants in order to first put all the merchants into the Shiji group, and then we can have those solution integrated, that how to integrate the different uh, point system.
Is the CG group, are you mainly interested in the restaurant business, or what industries are you looking at to have the payment system installed in?
So we have like a lodging industries, all the we have like a lot of big customers from lodgings like Hyatt, Marriott, and a lot of other like other brands are already using Shiji. We have restaurants also using Shiji. Stadiums are using Shiji, like all the
Mhm.
stadiums in US. And then we have a lot of other normal mom and pop shops are also using Shiji as
Okay.
a site. So there are like different, we are like everywhere, and wherever you want payment processing will be there.
Really, how much payments does CG process in a year?
So I think I already shared that, like we have
Yeah.
big numbers that we process. As I said, like that easily, like millions that we process every day. The transaction you see all over the world. I'm not
Right.
sure the US part, but all over the world, it's a millions of dollars that we process. I don't have the exact number.
Okay. Is the company publicly traded, or is it privately?
It is publicly traded.
Really? Okay. All right.
So you can find all that information,
Yeah.
on Shiji websites, and it's publicly. It's uh, investments is like pretty clear, like
Mhm.
publicly available. All that
Right.
information, and all the products are also available. Like even though if you are like a travel agent and you want the e-com payments is also available. If you are like restaurants, there is solution available. We have a lot of different partners that we work with, and that solution is like pretty like, so we are not a merchant service provider, we are like a gateway provider mainly in like or we are like a providing the product, which is like taking your payments like point of sales or PMSs,
Yeah.
or prices is also available through Shiji. So we are like pretty different, vast variety of products available.
Right. Okay. So would you even set payments up for law firms?
We can like anything we can do, right? It's just like
Okay.
we don't have any customers at this moment.
I got a better one. Can we collect judgments on it? That's what I want.
You're still looking for that.
Judgment, you connect it to this electronic payment, and you zap them. If they, no, I'm just kidding.
Not that easy. Okay, but
Not
you
easy,
could,
yeah.
you could work with law firms and professional service providers like medical doctors and things like that.
Yeah, so we don't have any customers at this moment that I can think of about the law firms, but
Okay.
nothing is impossible, on that, because at the end, right, it's a payment, right? You have to
Right. It's a payment.
Yeah.
The first, you can have the first national pension.
Well, actually, see, my company, we have a provider that does that for us, but I don't really run my company anymore. So I have to ask the president of the company, who do we use? I have no clue. All I know is that we used to collect checks all the time, and then our clients wanted to pay in credit cards. And I was going, well, I guess we got to set up a system so we can collect credit cards. So they set up a system
you can
there
ask them.
there. What?
You can ask them how they
I'll
do
ask
the
them.
payment.
I'll ask. I usually meet with them once a week. So next Tuesday, I'll ask Max who collects our payments for us. I know, but I did find out that there was a trend because it used to be in law firms and professional firms, checks, and that was kind of about it. In other words, you just got clients' checks. But then clients have changed and they're more interested in paying by credit card. And so we just started accepting credit card payments. And so now we have, I don't know what percentage of our payments, I have to ask Max, are actually going through on credit card transactions. And that's the reason I asked about law firms, because I assume that they have the same issue that people are now paying on credit cards as opposed to paying by check. Just the way it is. And no one pays lawyers by cash.
Well,
Well,
and
if you do, you're going to be in serious trouble.
I don't know if a lot of people have experienced it lately, but PayPal has put up a lot of problems. I tried to transact a payment to someone that I worked with, and it was horrible. Like they kept denying it, kept disallowing it, and there was somebody who's accepted payments before. It was a headache.
Did you, Ketul, do you ever run into Yapstone, or familiar with that company in the U.S.? Yapstone. They do all the payments for VRBO.
Yeah, they're just real estate.
They do a lot of real estate payments. That's the reason I want to know what lines are you going into, because Tom decided to go into real estate payments and apartments and then moved over into VRBO. And I don't even know if he does Airbnb, but moved into that as his process.
Both markets.
VRBO.
So like Airbnb and all those, like, a lot of different, like, the channels to take the or the reservation. And we work with like different channels on that part, to take the payment process or take the reservation and process, push down to the certain hotels and certain, the thing. But it's interesting, like, there are like a lot of places that, we have to know in order to have like proper solution available, right? So we have to understand that whole business cycle, like, this is the first point of the booking engine, right? And then the transaction goes to this particular server and then like process all the way to the end. But as I said, like, that we are pretty open for, like, if we have a customer, right, even the law firm or like a hospital or anywhere, right, wherever they need the payments, like, we're definitely open to discuss and see, like, whatever the solution we can offer to them. I would love to do that. Try to understand first. That is what I always see, that let's understand them, like, what the system they are using and how they want to do payments,
So here I got another one for you though. We're wanting to do movies, right, and payments on movies on our network, like pay-per-view. So maybe we can work out and work with you on how to do that, because we've kind of struggled on figuring out how to do that. So maybe you can work with us, because we're working with people who are doing movies. And we're taking a different approach, though. What we're doing is instead of like Netflix went out and bought out all the original movies that exist out there today, we're getting original content, right? So we're getting new original stuff. Anybody can go out and buy the stuff that already exists out there today, but we're getting stuff that's being developed today that's newer, that nobody
original content.
So
in
that's
different
what
languages,
we want to do.
that is what we're trying to do.
Okay, and you put all that movies on your server basically, and people can access.
Well, it may be through another server called RevShare Films is the name of the company that actually is going to aggregate all the original content movies from a lot of producers that can't get on AMC or can't get on, because see what happens, they put a lot of money into their production.
And actually, if anyone wants to watch a movie tonight, it's free. If you dial into they got a Zoom that they're going to be airing a premiere on.
Is that Destinova? Is that the one?
Destinova. Right. I was there at the filming. I was there.
Okay.
I was actually in the movie, but you won't see me. There's like way too much going on.
Yeah, you're an extra.
I was an extra.
Maybe we can discuss about movies and airline industry in our next discussion. How the payments works in the airport, airline industry, and movies.
Let's know how they can take your product or your services and turn it into a business. Let's do that. Let's
Yeah.
really show people how it's done. Let's just don't talk about
That would be pretty cool to see
Yeah,
how you can
let's
install
talk about it. Let's do
your
it.
films.
And
Yeah.
everyone, let's, because I know we need to wrap up here, but definitely go to Henning Morales Facebook or on mine, and you'll find the Zoom number. And it's tonight at 6 to 8 Pacific time. So that would be 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Where are you at, Ketul?
Maryland.
So you're on my time, so it'll be 9 o'clock. So this is why I tell people, get your popcorn on, and watch a good movie. Henning is very inspirational.
He's a real Hollywood producer who's right now, has a lot of production, but no distribution because AMC is closed.
He's a real author.
Are you able to share that link or whatever that is?
Yeah, I can share it.
Can you share it on our screen?
Yeah, let me type it here real quick.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll give it to you. Will you type it? It's Zoom US.
Well, type it in the little thing there.
/J/865 225 00706. And you can also go to my Facebook page. I will repost it today, or you can go to Henning Morales's. And if you miss getting onto the Zoom, like if you get there late, which he's got thousands of openings, but if you get there late because he shuts it, you can go watch it on Facebook. So you could go watch it at Henning Morales because he will air it on Facebook as well.
So like for example, this is really good. Let's say I put my the payment engine behind it, right, and all your subscribers, right. We can take that information and then we can process every month, so you don't need to worry about that part, the payment parts, and then we'll set up the merchant service account that, you get your funds there.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy. Right? It's not that, but we have to understand the whole architect, so we can design as a solid engineer. I can help design the whole, the payment piece on the back of your, and,
Well, and the thing is that that part, we know what we want. So that's what makes a good team. But we're going to do it, and we're going to do it next week on IBM TV. We're going to not just talk about it. We're going to show you an example of how you can do this so that it makes it easier for you to understand.
Yeah.
Because if you're not collecting money, you're not generating revenue. You're not becoming a prosperous company.
It's always a good idea to collect the check.
You gotta get the money.
You don't know where the money's going.
As I said, my only goal is to collect your money.
I like that idea. I like that.
My dad always said the best job in the world is the middleman, and if the money's passing your hand. So,
and if you're in retail, you do like to collect the check. I mean, you don't like not to collect it. Anyway, we're going to have to wrap up because we got.
Wrap up and do our real quick, people, at 3 o'clock.
कोरोना से कैसे बचेंगे? हैंड और ऐसे अपने खांसी जब आएगी तो ऐसे करेंगे अच्छू अच्छू और कोरोना वायरस को धन्यवाद हमारा म्यूजिक सुनने का.
Startup Wednesday, and as Nick says, all startups show up this time as well. So it's a 100% success. Yeah, and thank you, Ketul, and thank you, Kim, thank you,
thank you, and time to get on our airplane.
Watch Weed Wednesday after this. Weed Wednesday.